Chartered Adventuring! Greetings, adventurers. Welcome back to another Session Zero, where we talk to the personalities and people that run the campaigns and games that we so love. We have with us today one of our players. We got Jamie Faux, who is currently in our Wondrous Gateway of Oz campaign. Wondrous Gateway to Oz. Let me get that correct. You are playing Brennoa Redwood, who is a halfling, correct?
Halfling rogue, yeah.
Halfling rogue, so sneaky, tiny, sneaky. All right, so first of all, let's start off with the basics. Tell us about the character for your the Oz campaign.
So I decided, Brennoa wanted something a little different. And so I thought about just really different from how I normally am, which is why I kind of I just tried to think of a character that would be fun, because really that's my biggest importance. My biggest priority is have fun.
Right.
So I wanted a character that was different from me, really, almost more femme fatale to a weird degree, because she's very charming. That's why I put it pretty high in charisma, even as well as dexterity. So even though she's a rogue, is I want her to be able to persuade people to do what she wants.
Okay.
Instead of always having to resort to fighting. Like, she's like, do I really need to get involved with this?
So normally you're in the previous campaigns that we've been in together. In my experience with you, a lot of your characters have been more on the scholarly, bookish type of side. So this time you're going adventures. You're doing a 180. What prompted you to decide, hey, I want to just do something out of the box from my norm? Like, what made you step out of that little comfort zone?
Honestly, it was a talk that I was having with a friend that's not in our campaign. They're another friend that I've played tabletops with. And we were discussing how people have a tendency to either play themselves, like a character version of themselves, or the direct opposite. And so I wanted to kind of go in the half and half. I realized I was playing a lot of characters that are mostly me. Sometimes, except I talk a lot, but, my characters were usually way more sarcastic, more eloquent. I know I'm not acting eloquent right now, but, more eloquent, more well-read. And I wanted to be not as that. So I wanted to be, more extroverted, more confident. I'm not a confident person. And so I wanted to make a character that is confident in who they are. Just not the direct opposite, which I've done as well, with making a character that just enjoys being a jerk. But I wanted something in the middle, like not quite the direct opposite, but also not who I actually am. It's the role play. It's getting to be what you aren't.
Right, playing literally playing a role, playing a different personality. For this campaign, we're, as everybody knows, we're in the marvelous land of Oz. But you and our other guest, Ian, you two are playing the two characters that we have that are from the D&D setting, Forgotten Realms. You've had experience playing the D&D side. How familiar are you with Oz as a setting, aside from, say, the movie?
Not really. Honestly, most of my experience comes from just the movies, the little bits that the GM Patrick has had me read. He shared some of the books with me to kind of let me read, honestly, when I'm just bored. So I have a little bit, but not for a game.
Okay.
So it's going to be very new, all of it.
Did not knowing a whole lot about Oz kind of influence you to make a D&D character rather than push for playing an Oz character, just because you weren't familiar with the source material?
It was definitely more of an incentive, because while I want to play a new game, at the same time, I always get a little more intimidated with, especially going with experienced players into a whole new realm that I don't know. I'd rather have just, getting your foot wet just a little
so,
before you take the plunge.
So playing a character that was completely out of character for you is about as far into the deep end as you wanted to go by yourself.
Right in the very beginning.
Okay.
Like, who knows? I don't know. Maybe my next character will be completely off the deep end. But for right now, just a little bit.
Recently, we had a side game because we were missing a player. We started our Elsewhere's storylines, which are little side stories, one-shots. You were playing another fairly outgoing character,
Phylla.
Phylla, yeah. Was creating Brennoa kind of an incentive to keep it going with Phylla? Because Brennoa came first. Phylla seems fairly similar. Were you just kind of running with it?
Well, okay, maybe they seem similar from what you hear, but for me, Phylla is definitely more action oriented. Like, she was the one who first introduced to the outsiders, the meat people.
That's true.
And, she actually went into combat first with the birds. Jackdaws, I think they were, right?
They were, yeah.
Yeah. So she is more outgoing and more leadership style versus Brennoa, who is definitely much more like, I want to see where this goes first before I get my hands dirty. So I don't know. To me, they're separate characters. Maybe they seem similar to to an outside perspective.
I mean, they were definitely. I mean, you're playing them differently. I'm just talking about the extroverted nature and the action oriented character versus the scholarly, learner character that you usually.
Yeah. Again, like I was kind of running with that whole go outside of my, especially because. But Bunbury is so different from everything.
It really is.
Like, you know what? If I have to be a pastry, we're already off the deep end. Let's just go.
Speaking of that, since our historian of Oz, Patrick, since he's such a subject matter expert, and we've already had that first Elsewhere's game where we're in Bunbury, everybody's a pastry person. What are some other things about the Oz setting that you're looking forward to maybe seeing as a character?
Just the diversity. So, D&D has a lot of diversity to it, but I know it. I know not everything, but I know a good chunk of it. I don't know most of Oz. So this is it's kid in a candy store. It's getting a chance to experience these things. And especially as a character coming from a realm that isn't part of that, any surprise is genuine. It's like,
right, you get to share that wonder. Yeah, you get to share the wonder as well as your character. It's the same feeling.
Yeah, and so especially seeing how a lot of that lines up with the preconceived notions that you have from the other media, like the movies that you otherwise know.
Right.
Obviously, there's personal interpretations like you see with the book Wicked. Everyone has their opinion about that, but my point being, you're getting other perspectives. So I'm curious because, as you pointed out, Patrick is totally an expert. I have referenced him as I have no clue how he knows as much as he does about it. Right. But it's awesome. He's a wealth of information. So I'm curious because I'm like, I never would have known all of that even existed. Like Bunbury, what?
Right.
It fits in Oz, but also what?
Right. Yeah. A lot of that writing. I mean, I read the first book at Patrick's behest. He got me a copy of it, and I tore through it in one sitting. And a lot of it, my limited experience with Oz was the same thing. I went through the book and was just like, wait, this happened? This is way darker and way more nuanced than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting just nursery rhyme children's type of book, and it was a lot more than that. So I mean, we finished the Bunbury one shot, the Elsewhere's game. We are currently 2 episodes into the main campaign. getting ready to continue on. So far, your character has been in Waterdeep, in Forgotten Realms, and Red Larch, and then made her way along with the other Forgotten Realms character through the strange gateway, the Wondrous Gateway to Oz, and ended up in Oz. The little bit that you've listened to and watched and been part of with this whole game, how is Brennoa going to end up reacting? Like, what is her... what is the mindset at this point?
Well, as I said, she's very much one of those wait and see moments. So on one hand, she is going to be caught, she's going to automatically be cautious, especially because as a rogue, you don't get far as a rogue if you're just brash and you run right into things. You don't get very far.
It's true.
Yeah. So she's, of course, she's going to be more reserved. She probably won't be as extroverted as she is in Faerun, simply for that fact. But also, I can imagine that, given the diversity in Forgotten Realms, that she won't be quite as perturbed by possibly some of the encounters with different creatures that she's going to come across, like your character.
Yes. The speaking Bear King Bumble Speaker.
Right. That's different, but let's roll with it, is kind of, I can imagine her reaction to it. Like, not what I expected. I guess that's what I have to work with.
So in the end, it's just a different flavor of strangeness that she's going to have to just kind of take a deep breath and go, okay, this is reality right now.
And obviously, like, she'll... being that her only experience so far in life is with Forgotten Realms and the D&D universe, she's probably going to try a lot of those same tactics that have gotten her far in life in there. But being that everyone in Oz can be very different, I don't know how they're going to react.
That's true.
Like, maybe some of those, like, charming, witty things, maybe they're insulting. I don't know that yet. And that's why it's going to be fun, actually. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I agree. I really am looking forward to continuing on with the campaign. And we have... I think we're in safe hands with Patrick running it. He is definitely a subject matter expert. And
a good storyteller.
He is a very good storyteller. And if you're looking for the rest of our episodes, feel free to browse this channel. We've got all of them up. And there are more coming very soon. Jamie... thank you very much for being on Session Zero. We appreciate you coming and talking with us, and really look forward to seeing what Brennoa is going to do now that she's in the wonderful world of Oz there.
I'm just as curious as you are, because I don't know yet.
I guess we'll find out soon. All right, adventurers, that's it for Session Zero for today. We'd like to thank Jamie Faux, and that's about it. So we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
You want thingamabob?